Rise and shine. Pour yourself a cup of coffee and tune in to Good Morning Aurora. News, weather, and really cool interviews. Monday through Friday from 8 to 9 a.m.
Good morning, Aurora. Good morning, Aurora. Good morning, Aurora. The time is 8 a.m. You are listening to and watching Good Morning, Aurora, the second largest city's first daily news podcast. It's Friday, the 21st of July. Well, first of all, you made it, but this month and year is going by really quick. It's going to be August already. We're planning our October gala now for work, and I've just been thinking about, like, man, this year went by so fast, so very fast. I hope that some of you have been able to capture some of these fleeting moments indeed and enjoy your life, your liberty, and your pursuit of happiness. But it's a really nice day outside. We have a fantastic show for you guys today. We're going to be learning a lot about microloans, and so many of you are entrepreneurs and have your own businesses. You guys tune in every day, so this will be of particular interest to you as you make some great decisions coming up. Our guest today is Gabriella Bomben of the, actually I wrote it down, the Access to Capital Department at the Women's Business Development Center. How you feeling?
Feeling good. Happy Friday, everyone.
Happy Friday to you. All right. Where you came from Chicago today?
Yes, actually the western suburbs.
Western suburbs. Elmhurst. Okay, wow. How long was it to get here?
About 35 minutes.
All right. Well, we're glad to have you. Yep, you'll be sprinkling the crowd's brains here about microloans and helping them establish themselves as great businesses. But before we get to all that, I know what it is you really want. I know why most of you are here. Well, like a lot of you. You're here for the weather because you text me sometimes. Curtis, man, I haven't seen you do the weather in like 2 days. What happened? Well, we're doing it different now. Now we're doing it live. So as you can see, the weather's on the screen. This is a recap for you guys. Today's high is going to be 83 degrees with a nighttime high of 65. 70s near the lake. Dangerous swimming conditions still persist for Indiana beaches. Tomorrow, 84 degrees is the daytime high with a nighttime high of 66 degrees. Now, you will also pay attention to the emojis on your screen. As you can see, the dangerous thunderstorm, lightning, rain, all that starts Saturday morning and goes into Sunday morning as well. Sunday's daytime high will be 86 degrees. There is your weather here on Good Morning Aurora, the second largest city's first daily news podcast. Now, Daniel Calderon is here. Good Morning Aurora is my cup of coffee. I appreciate that, my brother. We do. Daniel Calderon is he's a new friend of the show. We got to have those, you know. We like that, like when people tune in. Daniel Calderon is an interesting person. He's one of many people who is, you know, ambitious and everything. So the information that we are going to talk about today is about KIVA, which was founded in 2004? 2005. Tell us about KIVA.
Absolutely. So KIVA was founded in 2005. It's a nonprofit organization, mission-driven and impact-driven organization helping businesses provide an alternative source of financing and capital to grow and expand your business and really achieve those different goals that you have. They provide 0% interest microloans ranging in size from $1,000 to $15,000. And the term for repayment is anywhere from 12 to 36 months. It functions as an online crowd lending campaign. And crowdfunding, I like to define it in two parts. The funding part is your capital, the financing that you'll use for the business. And the crowd is the vehicle to attaining that capital and loan as an entrepreneur. So the crowd is made up of your community of supporters, your crowd of personal network of supporters, as well as KIVA's lending community, which is made up of 2 million individuals across the U.S., across the globe, pooling small lending contributions, helping the business become fully funded.
So it's so the range of $1,000 to $15,000, is that what distinguishes it as a microloan?
Yes, exactly.
And now, is that a newer term?
It's been within the lending landscape for a few years now. I would say it's newer in the sense that it's a smaller amount, so it can go towards different expenses for your business, maybe purchasing supplies, inventory for the next upcoming season, or it's going towards a physical space, or you're also looking for additional funds to hire employees as well, or marketing or working capital. So it's relatively a newer term, if you will, but it's still through the pandemic. I think in terms of seeking the alternative sources of capital for businesses that might not be capital ready for a traditional form of financing, that's where the alternative KIVA microloan can really play an important role.
Okay. Now, how does one become eligible? Now, we are going to talk about the helpful workshops that you've got coming up, which the first will detail eligibility. But let's do a little bit about the eligibility for those who are interested.
Absolutely.
Like Michael Rayford.
Yeah.
Good morning, Michael Rayford.
Good morning, Michael. Absolutely. Eligibility is really straightforward. You can be at any stage of the business when you want to apply for KIVA. You could be pre-revenue, startup, emerging, established. So you don't need to be in operation for X amount of time in order to be eligible. They don't have a minimum credit score requirement, and they do not require collateral, nor do they require audited business financials. So they also accept multiple forms of business proof when it comes to applying to KIVA or another funding opportunity. It's about that onset preparation and organization of the documentation that's needed. For KIVA, they accept a wide array of different forms of business proof. If you have your EIN documentation, LLC or incorporation articles as well, or also your operational permit, they accept that too, or DBA, your doing business as documentation. So a lot of forms of business proof that they accept. Something like a business plan or business bank statement aren't necessarily required for the application, but can really help. Those two pieces of supplemental documentation can help strengthen the application overall. But it depends on where you are. You know, if you're brand new and you may not have that business bank account set up quite yet, definitely make that a priority. It's important to establish that differentiating of finances between personal and business. And we have services that can assist you in understanding the importance of the business plan, how to put one together, look at an outline and see the different sections. So those are the types of documentation that they accept. And I work with businesses one-on-one to really help that application come to its strongest point before it's in the hands of KIVA and they review and ultimately determine the loan size.
So you mentioned that anyone can be anywhere in their journey of a business. How many, about how often or how many of the clients you serve have their business plan already? I mean, are you meeting people who are, novices, or are you meeting people who at least, have started kind of building the bridge, but just need to know where to put the screws at?
I love that. No, I would say it's about 50-50. I would say I work with a lot of startup businesses. KIVA is really well suited for startup and emerging types of businesses to get that startup and initial capital to inject into the business to go towards startup costs and expenses. But I would say it's 50-50. I do work with businesses that are a few years in operation and have that well-established business plan and are seeking that micro loan to go towards a short-term or even long-term goal for the business.
Okay. All right. Well, that's good to know that some people have their, if you're starting your business, there's a lot of things that can happen to it. So they've got their ducks in a row, just need a little bit more help, kind of thing. So I wanted to read a little bit from the website, which is also about KIVA, because this is where my next question is going to come from. So it says, established, as you mentioned, in 2005 as the world's first personal micro-lending website, KIVA enables everyday people to pool lending contributions as little as $25 to provide financial access to entrepreneurs in developing communities across the globe. So the global impact, it started global, and now we're learning about it locally, or was it local and then it went global?
No, you're correct. It started on a global footprint,
Okay.
and then it moved into more of a United States footprint and visibility and awareness as well.
Okay. All right. Now, pooling the contributions for as little as $25. So anyone can make contributions?
Correct. Anyone, your next door neighbor, your local grocery store clerk. There are different even community lending teams on Kiva. The lenders across the U.S., the 2 million lending community from Kiva are very impact driven. So anyone and everyone can be a lender on Kiva. And actually, they've just diminished that minimum loan amount is now $5, which is really exciting. So it could be $5, $10, $20, $25 that anyone can make to contribute to a business that's in their public fundraising stage and help them get to that fully funded goal.
So for those who, let's say there is the established business, right? If you are an established business and you've been in operation, and perhaps you typical banking and lending for you has been problematic. And the turnover time seems like it's quicker with Kiva. Is that an accurate statement?
It has a bit of a, not expedited, but it does go through a structured process where once you submit the application, Kiva's review team takes about 1 to 3 weeks for them to complete their review. And then you can automatically jump into fundraising, which only the maximum amount of time for fundraising is 45 days. But oftentimes businesses are able to fundraise in a little bit less than that. So you're correct in terms of the turnaround is a little bit less than that traditional form of financing. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And it's an excellent way to even market your business too. So when you have your crowdfunding profile, when you're publicly fundraising, you can link your business website and your business social media so you can gain that additional visibility and exposure for your business as well.
Now I see that the platform is connected to millions of Kiva lenders to raise up to $15,000 with no interest and no fee. Talk about that and the benefit for that, because those fees they grow and they compound, and the next thing that you know, you have to budget in for these fees.
Absolutely.
All that it is going to take to do what you're trying to do or process this, it's very problematic.
Yes, and that's one of the great things about Kiva. They're very transparent and upfront about the terms. 12 to 36 month term for repayment, 0% interest for the life of the loan. So it's not as if interest will come up a bit later when you're repaying. It's 0% interest. You repay the amount you raise, nothing more, nothing less. $0 in fee as well. So those are the things you really have to look out for when you're exploring, especially alternative forms of financing and any kind of funding as well. Always read the fine print and understand what are those interest percentages that will come up. Will they increase over the life of the loan? What are the upfront fees that you have to budget for? Mm-hmm. So it's really excellent the way Kiva is very transparent, 0% interest and $0 in fee.
And then the other stat that I had, now I know that you have stats too, and we're going to go to your stats, but just because I'm using a different color highlighter today, and it's way prettier than I typically use. Kiva has grown to enable over 2 million lenders worldwide to lend a combined $1.5 billion in 77 plus countries around the world.
Yes.
Wow. Do you work with any of those? I mean, in your professional sphere, do you work with any of those big companies and some of these huge lenders? And what's that like?
Yeah, so there are different loan matching programs where different financial institutions actually match dollar for dollar. So if you sometimes see on the public fundraising page of a business that's fundraising on Kiva's platform, there might be a 2 times match from either a corporate entity or financial institution. So that's really powerful because for every $5 contribution, that corporate entity matches the $5. It's a dollar to dollar match, which is really great. It helps kind of expedite the process as well when they're fundraising. So we do work with and partner with different corporate entities to really empower those matching programs and matching parts. And it's really exciting because you can see also on the fundraising page the group of lenders that have been lending so far. There are different lending teams and communities that rally around the businesses to help them become fully funded. Someone from Seattle could lend to a business here in Aurora or in Chicago, right? Because it has that online digital avenue to attaining capital. So it really offers this alternative, non-conventional approach while also, again, kind of creating that marketing opportunity also provides the business to get an understanding of how they can write their personal story and business story on their profile page, almost like a digital pitch when you're discussing your business and how you give back to the community and the impact that you have.
Quite beneficial for the lender to see the person.
Yes, humanizes. You want to see that photo as well. The photo needs to be of you and your business, so it helps humanize yourself, provides a pulse to the business as well. And the lender, exactly, they go straight to that narrative of your profile page. What is your business about? Maybe what's a day-to-day operation, window into what you do as a business? Who do you serve as your clientele? And then also they're very interested. There's a section where you can talk about the purpose of the loan,
Right.
the purpose of the funds. You know, where is that lender's $25 contribution going to go towards? So there's a way to strategically write that narrative and even have fun with it, right? Make it an enjoyable part of the process. And I help, businesses throughout that.
All right. Very cool. Very cool. Good morning, everybody, for just joining us. It's 8:15. Josue Pais, good morning to you. He's the owner of Harry Beast Dog Parlor. So that's definitely beneficial information. He is an entrepreneur with a great business, trimming dog hair. Obviously, right? Zaira Chavez, good morning. Zaira Chavez is our dear friend. Ray Denon Paz, good morning. Michael Rayford to you. Quentin Wilmot and Jennifer Ryan Mayton. So we are going to, I'm going to bring up a couple of those workshops that we got coming up. And then when we come back out of that, I'd like for you to talk about the 1st and the 17th and your workshops that you have coming up. So also, we do have the website for KIVA. It's www.kiva.org. I'll put that in the chat for you guys so that you can visit the website at your leisure, see what's going on, and any information that you may have about it. You can definitely contact Gabriella. Now, we'll also add your contact information as well, too, in the description of the video. Time is 8:16 a.m. So, ladies and gentlemen, as you know, as we've been telling you for quite some time, the Neighbor Project, we have many beneficial events and workshops coming up. The first one that we have is Getting to Know Your Credit. That's going to be Tuesday, August 15th at the Santori Aurora Public Library branch in downtown Aurora, 7:15 to 8. Oh, my God in heaven. You got any water or anything? You don't got nothing here. Take a sip. Sip it up. Sip it up. We got to sip it up. When we mess up our words, we sip it up. We just get your mind right?
We're human.
That's right. Cleanse your palate. Cleanse your brain. This is plain English. Let's try it again. 7:15 to 8:15 p.m. That's the time. What's a good credit score and why is it so important? The Neighbor Project, the Aurora FEC, the Aurora Public Library, and the City of Aurora are coming together to present this wonderful workshop. It's free and open to the public, and it's also in Spanish right there. We'll have Spanish-speaking counselors on hand to help assist you with any questions that you may have. The next thing that we have to talk about is the budgeting workshop. This is presented by the Power Women Group. Good morning, Ray. POWER. It's an acronym. I don't know what it stands for right now, but I'll endeavor to tell you guys that. That's August 16th from noon to 1 p.m. It's going to be at 77 South Broadway in the lower level. Now, I know what you're thinking. Curtis, 77 South Broadway, what building is that? That's the big, huge City of Aurora Department Services building. Broadway and Benton is the exact address. But please come there. Registration is not required. This, again, is free and open to the public. And then, because it's coming sooner than you know, back to school. Oh, Lord. All you parents out there, get ready. Are we ready for it? We better be. July 29th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Prisco Center is going to be a back-to-school event. It's free. Free farmers market produce, backpacks, school supplies, back-to-school resources, immunizations, entertainment, refreshment, crafts, and much more. There are pop-up shop items as well, $5 and under. You can see some of the fantastic pop-up vendors that'll be there. Once again, it's going to be at the Prisco Center, July 29th, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m., 150 West Illinois Avenue. This is brought to us by Blue Cross Blue Shield and the Aurora African American Health Coalition. Yes, that is your news right there. All right, time is 8:19 a.m. So now, the 1st and the 17th. Your 2 workshops, eligibility on the 1st and then fundraising on the 17th, 10 a.m. online.
Yes.
Speak to them a little bit more.
Absolutely. So the one on August 1st, we go through the eligibility criteria. I touched on it a little bit today. And then we go through what the process looks like step by step, which I'm happy to provide a little bit of a high level of what that looks like as well. So what does that look like in terms of the application, to the review, to the fundraising, to the repayment part. And then we also, then on the 17th, I discuss, so there's about 5 different sections on the profile. We kind of alluded to it prior, your photo, your personal story, your business story, purpose of the loan, and even a tagline. So I take you through what that profile should look like and what a high quality profile will look like, because that is the face of your fundraising campaign, right? That's where the lender is going to go to and make that decision to click that Lend Now button and lend. So having that high quality profile, that pitch for your business is going to be really crucial. So I take you through those different sections, as well as in that second webinar, we go through some fundraising tips and tricks and strategies, different ways you can fundraise when you're in your private and your public fundraising stages.
All right, I'm going to get the link to KIVA right now, to the website, actually, and put that in the chat for the folks. So the website, guys, will give you all the information that Gabriella just presented to you, but there it is in the chat for you guys. But if you have any questions, how can they contact you? What's your contact information?
Yes, absolutely. So my email address is gbomben, GBOMBEN, at WBDC.org. Or even by phone, my extension is 460, so I'll definitely be able to provide our office phone number as well. So either email or phone, always just one touch point away to set up an appointment so we can talk about your business a little bit more in depth, talk about your financial goals, see if KIVA is a great fit. Within our Access to Capital department, we talk about finding the right capital from the right source at the right time. So we discuss KIVA to see if that's the right source for your business and for your goals and what you're looking to fundraise for and raise capital for. And if KIVA is not the option, we have different capital partners and other avenues that we can connect you with. And even not only to discuss different loan products, but really help you build your financial acumen as a business owner and entrepreneur, understanding your core financial statements. What does having, a monthly cash flow spreadsheet look like, and how you should monitor your expenses in that way, just to give a little bit of insight into that. So one-on-one advising to discuss capital options, but also building that financial literacy.
All right. Now we have some success stories as well. So I want to share a few, but let's talk about Manvi.
Yes, Manvi.
I'll let you detail Manvi.
She is excellent. She was one of our first entrepreneurs that got fully funded with our hub. We became a hub at the WBDC for KIVA in 2021 and have helped over 40 businesses become fully funded, totaling $341,500. And the average loan size for our hub is around $7,000, just to give you a little bit of data and metrics there. But Manvi, yes, one of our first amazing entrepreneurs. She's actually kind of based here in the western suburbs. She's the owner of Terra Clay, which is an online lifestyle brand specializing in home goods, artisan goods-based business. They collaborate with several women artisan groups in India to design and produce home textiles, baskets and blankets and pottery. So she's a wonderful entrepreneur, really great example in terms of what I touched on earlier, where on your KIVA fundraising profile page, you can link your website and your social media. Excellent way to gain visibility for your business. And with Manvi's fundraising story and journey, in particular with KIVA, one of her lenders not only lent and contributed to helping Manvi fully fundraise her loan, but they also then visited her website and purchased one of her products. So it's an excellent example of that conversion is possible. Never 100% guarantee, of course, but it is possible. That crowdfunding platform offered that visibility, that interaction between the lender not only contributing and lending to the business, but then also supporting the business in another way and purchasing one of the products.
Michael Rayford says, can you share your guest's contact information? Because I'm unable to write at the moment. Can you you say your email address and the number again, please?
Yes. So my email is G like George, BOMBEN at WBDC.org. And then I'll give you the full phone number with my extension, 312-853-3477, extension 460.
All right, there you have it. There you have it. And we'll type that up again to make sure that the folks get it. I'm curious though, what kind of people are the lenders?
It really depends. It's honestly everyday impact-driven individuals that understand that there is a gap, sort of a gray area that entrepreneurs and businesses find themselves in when they're seeking capital, right? The barrier of perhaps, not having that credit score at the threshold from, a more traditional perspective when seeking financing, or maybe they don't have collateral right now, which is also another bit of a barrier sometimes for businesses, or even, understanding that perhaps they're not at a point where they have multiple years of proven revenue quite yet. Maybe they're just starting out. So these lenders are aware of the gap and the gray area the businesses can face, and kind of understand the hurdle it is, or inability to access capital from a traditional standpoint sometimes. So they're here to really support businesses from this alternative lending perspective, and want to see businesses flourish and grow and continue to make the incredible impact that they have on their community. So honestly, from everyday people to those lending teams to corporate entities and even foundations, it's a wide variety of different types of lenders.
All right. Thank you very much. The time is 8:26 a.m. I'm going to read a couple more of the success stories, which are really good. These two caught my eye because the type of business, and I guess it kind of goes to show that anyone who has their idea and their dream, if it's going and working for them, could be a potential recipient of the loan. So Lydia and Aurora that's the name of the online boutique. It's been an established business owner, Lydia Thompson's been an established business owner for over the past 7 years. When the pandemic started, Lydia needed additional capital to scale marketing efforts that would increase the already high demand for her athleisure line. KIVA's crowdfunding platform allowed her to keep cash flow, pay invoices, and strategize properly to meet the increased demand. Now, the better hair, athleisure is she has an online boutique. The Better Hair LLC, braiding hair has been so synonymous with Barbara Amayadowo, the family stylist, so it made sense for her to pivot from working in Washington, D.C. as a data analyst to becoming an entrepreneur. KIVA's zero fee loans, allow Barbara to create her website, purchase containers for hair products, and launch her business properly. Lydia Endora's KIVA loan was $5,000, and Better Hair was $8,500. So very powerful. Really big impact for these two ladies who have completely different businesses.
Absolutely. Right. So one was a little bit more established, went to kind of helping and cushioning that cash flow that a lot of businesses, face challenges with due to the pandemic. And then with Barbara, in terms of her brand new, that was a startup business. So a lot of the funding went straight towards creating the website. So excellent example and differentiation between you can be at any stage of the business and be really successful with KIVA. You can be just starting out or a little bit more established and you need that micro loan to go towards some specific expenses, or you want the loan and the funding to go towards helping to launch the business as well. So really excellent, both wonderful women entrepreneurs and CEOs and founders of those businesses.
Absolutely. Okay. Quote, access to capital can be difficult for entrepreneurs at all stages of the business process. The WBDC's partnership with KIVA will provide information and resources to business owners across the Chicagoland area who are struggling to gain capital, close quote. And with the businesses that you work with, what's their disbursement? How many you got in Chicago, and do you see a rise in the western suburbs, southern suburbs? What are you seeing?
Yeah, absolutely. We've seen a lot in the Chicagoland, Berwyn also as well, and then even south in Springfield and Champaign, and then also in the west too, Oak Park, one in Aurora actually, Naperville. So it's actually we're quite doing well in terms of spreading that regional reach, in terms of helping businesses gain that access to capital, even outside of the Chicagoland area, helping those collar counties become aware of KIVA and how that could really be an injection of capital into the business to really help it move it forward and ignite that growth. So we are definitely seeing that regional reach moving west since we've started in 2021.
Nice. Where were you born and raised?
I was raised just about 40 minutes west of Chicago, grew up near Bartlett, and then moved to Elmhurst. So well suited and well aware of the wonderful west end of Chicago and the suburbs here.
And how long have you been with the WBDC?
I've been with the Women's Business Development Center for about 5 years.
Okay. And now the Access to Capital Department is this is newer for you.
Exactly.
Okay.
I transitioned in 2020 to Access to Capital.
Okay. So this show started during the pandemic. What was the pandemic like for your activities and your work?
Absolutely. So the pandemic, we saw a lot of, and we worked with a lot of businesses and preparing them for the different governmental funding opportunities, whether it been the EIDL or PPP, helping businesses become aware of how you can, not have to close your doors or discuss the different funding options through the government that they can apply for as a business. And we did find, though, that through the pandemic, one of the things that we really hone in on is building your partnerships, building that network, especially with your business banker too. Sometimes we saw when it came to businesses applying for the PPP and they, didn't have that relationship or rapport with their business banker, which provided a challenge for them to kind of lock in that PPP funding, for instance. So one of our colleagues is a former banker for over 20 years. So she provided an excellent perspective and lens into the importance of strengthening that relationship with your business banker and really strengthening your network overall when seeking funding, right? And having that awareness and preparedness. So knowing how to be capital ready before you need the capital, planning ahead so that, you're not completely in a pinch and, you need the capital yesterday. We don't want to coach our clients on that. We want you to be prepared, have that onset preparation and awareness so that you have the proper documentation. You're fully aware of the process and eligibility of the program that you're applying to. So we definitely help businesses in that regard in terms of those government funded programs. And then we also administered a few different grants through the city, state, and county. And those were all from ARPA funding and government funding as well. So those were grants that were sort of essentially free money in a sense, right? Because grants you don't have to repay. So we helped with a lot of the grant administration review process as well for businesses through, like I said, city, state, and county programs.
All right, very cool. Thank you very much for that. So the time is 8:32. Norma Peterson is here. Good morning, Norma Peterson. Norma Peterson is the executive director of Document the Abuse, learn about the EAA, the Evidentiary Abuse Affidavit, and how it helps out in law enforcement. And Alicia Hahn, Colleen Berry Putton, Brett's mom is here. Good morning. Alicia Hahn is one of the members of Birth to 5 Illinois. So they've got great programs and things. They'll be on Good Morning Aurora and Buenos Dias Aurora again very soon. So I wonder about you mentioned the pandemic and you mentioned people trying to go through the process to get PPP loans. And for a lot of businesses, I don't think that was something that they had in their business plan before that, prior to that. The ability, the knowledge, the wherewithal to be asking for a PPP loan in a time of absolute crisis and ruin. Was the FEC? Oh my God. That's just where we're at. I'd be here too much. That's terrible, right? Curtis thinking about working is in another interview. Were you able to walk people? I don't know if you mentioned that. Were you walking people through that process too? And this seems like, and I'm curious to know this because the Women's Business Development Center seems like a really good resource for people. It takes the pressure off of doing a lot of these business related things, because it's really a daunting task for a lot of people to go through your business, separate cash flow, distinguishing those finances from the business to the personal. What's my EIN? All of those things. So were you guys helping people to navigate that during that time?
Absolutely. I remember having multiple phone calls with businesses, helping them through the EIDL, going on the SBA website, looking at the application first before you even go in to fill in the data about your business. Because again, if you look at the application first, just as a specific example, you know exactly what they're asking for. You can prepare before you go and insert the information in the application field. So absolutely, we were walking businesses through the EIDL, knowing how to prepare for the PPP, because with the PPP, you had to find or either be connected with a bank that provided the PPP funding.
Right.
So we were putting together lists of, banks that, if you didn't have an account with the bank, or if there was another sort of platform that was providing PPP and you maybe didn't have a bank set up, or bank account rather set up, they were still providing PPP. So we were absolutely providing all different types of resources to get the businesses aware, prepared, breathe through the process as well. And even when we were, doing the grant administration, we had different pop-up events where we would bring scanners and help businesses, if they were going to bring the required documentation with them, to help them scan things digitally and have a computer there with them to fill out the application together. So we were definitely having some on-hands, important one-on-one TA. And then through that, coming out of that, we've even put together our financial boot camp, which is a 6-week virtual series and program for businesses about 2 to 3 years in operation at least, because we want the businesses to look at their numbers. The overall goal of the financial boot camp is to walk away with a better understanding of your numbers and how they tell a story to the business and the financial health of the business as well. So we work with businesses, put together different resources and tools, as well as a financial toolkit. So what kind of documentation is needed when applying for a loan or when applying for a funding or grant opportunity. So that 6-week program, we've had 2 so far. We're in our summer program right now. We just wrapped week 2 this week, and we have another financial boot camp coming up in the fall. And we have businesses, as I kind of alluded to, in business for a couple of years is one of the criteria to be in the boot camp, because we want those entrepreneurs to look at their numbers. They're not going to be, looking or examining an external business as the example. Your business is the case study. You're studying your business and knowing what your numbers mean so that you can make those better informed decisions.
When's the next session start?
It's going to be in October, the fall this year. So definitely go on our website to sign up for our newsletter, WBDC.org, so you can stay up to speed and you can get notifications when that application launches.
All right. Thank you very much for that. Saul Olivas is here. Good morning to you, Saul Olivas. Good morning, everyone. Have a great weekend. So the next session, it's
all good. Cheers.
Right. No words. They just know to sip it up. Everybody's just sipping it up already. I already know. Norma Peterson, I know you're sipping it up. The next session starts in October, financial boot camp, 6 months, right?
6 weeks.
6 weeks, excuse me. Okay. Yeah. Is there a flyer for that?
We don't have one quite yet for the fall, but I can send one out.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, since we're connected, send that flyer when you got it. And we'll, or if you want to make another recording, send me that, and then we'll plug that in for you. Anyway, so here's the other thing about the microloan process that I did want to kind of highlight and touch on for people. When you are applying for a loan, okay, talk about the talk about how you guys, what's the procedure with the Women's Business Development Center? Because there's a lot of people who are unfamiliar with the Women's Business Development Center. So talk about the process one more time for folks. You did it at the top, and I appreciate that. And then after that, let's do the stats that you had, because I think I obfuscated over this. I think I went to the commercial before your stats and everything. So I got to make sure we get ample time for all of those good numbers.
So for the KIVA loan process, right? So you begin with an online application where you answer some financial questions of you and your business. And even before you begin the process, we have a one-on-one conversation. We talk about your business, talk about your financial goals, what you're needing the funding for, right? And see if KIVA is a good fit. And then we move forward into the phase of application and even preparing for the application as well. But you'll answer some financial questions about you and your business on the KIVA loan application. This is where you also attach the various pieces of documentation. Remember, they accept multiple forms of business proof, right? And then you also, on the application, that's where you put together your fundraising profile, which includes your photo, your personal story, business story, purpose of the loan, where you can link your website and social media. So all of that is created when you're doing and submitting your application. And then it actually comes to me, and we work together to really bring the application to its strongest point. Maybe we have you upload, a supplemental piece of documentation, right? If you want to show that, hopefully you are, if you're an LLC or corporation, you're in good standing with the state of Illinois, we can upload that proof of good standing, and that helps to add a little bit more of strength to the application, for instance. Or if we need to choose a different photo that better represents you and your business visually, or clean up a little bit of the narrative section too. So we work together. I work with you to bring your application to its strongest point before it moves to the next stage, which is KIVA review. KIVA has their own review and underwriting team, if you will, and they ultimately determine the loan size that the business qualifies for. So you'll go into it, requesting an amount, and you'll itemize that out, right? So if you're requesting $5,000, maybe $2,000 is going to go towards supplies, and another $2,000 is going to go towards marketing, and $1,000 is going to go towards inventory, right? You'll go into it requesting an amount through the application. And then through KIVA's review, they'll ultimately determine that loan size. They'll conduct a soft pull of your credit score. Very important, just a side note, whenever you're exploring funding options, understand if it's a hard hit, a hard inquiry on your credit score, or a soft pull. For KIVA, it's a soft pull. They look at debt to income ratio, so amount of monthly income that goes towards paying off monthly debt. They look at different social and financial inputs, look at your documentation as well. And again, they ultimately determine that loan size. And from there, once you receive a loan approval letter in a form of an email, that's when you get the information of how much you've been approved for, your term, 12 to 36 months is the range. And then from there, you step into your fundraising stage, the crowdfunding. This is where it's that vehicle to getting fully funded from the crowd, right? So there's two parts to fundraising. First part is called your private fundraising period. This is the first 15 days. This is where you demonstrate something called social capital and invite family, friends, people from your network to come and lend to your campaign. Again, now as little as $5. And KIVA will communicate how many individuals, specifically the number of individuals you'll need to invite within the first 15 days. And that's the goal. Even if if you were approved for, again, as an example, $5,000, and KIVA communicated that you need to invite 7 people within your first 15 days, even if all of those 7 separate different individuals just lent $5 or $25 each within the first 15 days, you've hit that private fundraising goal. It's not about raising a monetary amount within the first 15 days. I get that question often. But it's about hitting that required number of raising the humans to come and invite them to lend to your campaign. And if you do that within the first 15 days, you then automatically move into public fundraising, where you get an additional 30 days to fundraise the rest of the loan. And now your campaign and profile is public on KIVA's platform, public to the 2 million KIVA lenders across the U.S., across the globe. You have that visibility now to continue the momentum, continue to fundraise throw a wider net to your community, but you have that support and backing from KIVA's lending community. Now, it is all or nothing. You must fundraise the full amount in order to then be dispersed the capital, right? And then the final stage in all of this is repayment. So with KIVA, it's a micro loan. It's not a grant or donation, so there is repayment involved. It's a great way to build your borrowing potential if KIVA is one of your first external sources of capital. And it's a monthly repayment, begins 1 month from becoming fully funded, and they calculate that by taking the loan size, dividing it by the number of months in the loan term, and that's what you repay every month. Now, every time you make a repayment, KIVA takes that and distributes that back to your lenders, your crowd, right? So that one of your lenders can recycle the $25 that they made to your business to another business on the platform. So it's really wonderful ripple effect of how far a $25 loan contribution can go. And once you repay your first loan fully and on time, you can come back to KIVA and apply again, second time around. And you don't need to wait for a specific amount of time from repaying your first loan to applying for a second loan.
Okay. Yeah. Which was another question I had. How many times can one, upon successfully repaying your loan, right, can you reapply for another loan?
There isn't a maximum. No, we've had in our hub, we have quite a few what they call repeat borrowers. They're on their second loan at least right now. So
okay.
Absolutely.
Awesome. So the other question I have is when it comes to the borrower or the lender and everything, you said something that I thought was really worth repeating. It's not about the money. It's about the ability to get the people to lend to you, right? You kind of, I think you did mention that, like, you could get the money, but you need to source the humans to give it to you. More important than necessarily the money, right?
Right. So I touched on it exactly. In the first 15 days, I often get asked,
That's what it was.
Yeah. Do I need to? So if I was approved for a $5,000 loan, do I need to raise X amount of dollars within my first 15 days? No, you don't. You need to invite the required number of individuals that KIVA communicates to you. That's the goal. So again, even if all of them maybe just lent $25 to $50, anything you raise monetarily in that first 15 days goes towards your goal, of course. But it's about getting to that required number of humans that you invite and come and lend to your campaign. So that's kind of the goal of that
right.
First 15 days. Demonstrate that social capital, demonstrate that backing from your community. So then it illustrates that KIVA's community will back you too.
Right. Okay. That was important because, one of the things that doing this show opened my eyes to, people would meet and, ask me about the show and they'd be like, well, how much money do you need? And it was like, $3,000 would help.
Sure.
Right. But I need somebody to teach me how to do things.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, right.
Yeah, absolutely.
$500 would be great. But more importantly than that is a place to record with a good internet signal. You know what I'm saying? Like there are far more important things in your business than simply just getting the money.
Sure.
You have to plan. You have to be ready. You got to be prepared. You should have your documentation. All of those things. It's the steps that aren't financially, impactful that you need to do to be financially viable or to be successful. It's a big thing. It's not just the money. It's bigger than that.
Right. It's organizing.
Absolutely.
It's the planning. So it's embedding, your financial plan and your projections even into your business plan, because that's something that lenders look at too. They want to see that business plan, and embedded into the business plan is your financial plan. So your cash flow projections, your expenses, how you're, managing your costs as well. So it shows that you can, kind of take sort of a zoomed out perspective, not be so zoomed in, but zoom out to understand what the planning and organization is needed so that when you have the capital in hand, you know exactly where you're going to infuse that into the business and inject that in a strategic way to really see a return on that and see that growth for your business.
Very good. Very good. Good to know. All right. Matthew Rainey's here. Good morning from Rent a Chef. We need to drop off some brisket for you. Yeah, you do.
That sounds amazing right now.
Of all the things you need. Yes. How did you know? That's what you, yeah. Hit the, yeah, there you go. It does sound good right now, right?
So good on a Friday.
Yeah. Well, Matthew Rainey and his wife Heather are they are the owners of and founders of Rent a Chef. So they are a business, and this is precisely the kind of information that could be of a benefit to them. Matthew, you see the link in the chat for Kiva, www.kiva.org. Check it out. We had them on the show talking about their business and what they've been through and things like that. So they could definitely benefit from that. Nora Peterson is here. She says human capital. Absolutely. And Luz Elena Brambila Guerrero is here. Coffee time. Good morning to you. Jessica Ann, good morning as well. So Luz and her husband have a business called The Woodcrafters by Luz and Juan. They are currently featuring at Aurora Farmers Market. So they're definitely doing pop-ups and all kind of things. So this is great information for them too. Absolutely. All right. Time is 8:50. So before we start to land this plane, number 312-853-3477. Your extension is 460. Yes. Are you in the Chicago office?
Yes, we're headquartered in Chicago office, downtown in the Loop. Yes.
Right. Okay. And then can you mention one more time your next events that you've got coming up as well?
Yes, I've got 2 August webinars. The first one on August 1st, we go through the eligibility. I kind of break down those stages a little bit more in depth in terms of the KIVA loan process, step by step. And then I also, in part of discussing the loan products, the capital that's out there, like I said earlier, we also really want to impart that business acumen. So we also discuss how to become capital ready. So we have a little bit of a capital readiness checklist that I review in that first webinar too, which we kind of talked about some of those topics throughout this session today. So the first one, August 1st, eligibility, process, overall, program details when it comes to the KIVA loan. Then the webinar on August 17th goes into how you create that high quality profile crowdfunding campaign, the page that you'll use when you're fundraising for your photo, narrative, use of the loan. And then we also, within that second webinar, talk about the different fundraising strategies, how you can fundraise. KIVA has pre-made tools and templates, language that you can use when you're fundraising. So already kind of created for you, but then you put in your personal touch and you add your own details, of course, as a business. So 2 great webinars coming up. I usually host those every month. And then one-on-one advising, right? So we can talk about your financial goals, see if KIVA could be a great fit, and then also talk about other things that you want to discuss, cash flow management. Is there something in particular on your business tax returns or financial statements that don't make sense or you have a question about? We have advising that can discuss those too. How to put together your financial toolkit, the documentation needed, and how to really empower you to have that digitally stored and secured and readily available so that when you're applying to KIVA or applying to another loan or a grant funding opportunity, for instance, you have all of that organized and planned ahead of time. So,
all right, very beneficial. Time is 8:52. So, good morning, Jose Artis here. Good morning to you. This was a absolutely fantastic interview with you, getting to know all of this stuff about KIVA and everything. To work with you. The advising, is there any cost for the advising?
No cost. I'm so glad you brought that up. No cost. We just want you to, if you're not already a client of ours, you fill out a client intake form. Okay. Super easy. Takes 5 minutes online.
All right.
No cost.
Client intake form on WBDC.org.
Correct.
All right. So this conversation here today was once again about KIVA, KIVA and microloans, and established in 2005, the world's first personal micro lending website. It enables everyday people to pool lending contributions as little as $25 to provide financial access to entrepreneurs. Now $5.
Yep.
Now $5, right? To allow contributions to entrepreneurs in developing communities across the globe. Entrepreneurs apply directly to KIVA's U.S. site to fundraise on the platform and are connected to millions of KIVA lenders to raise up to $15,000 with no interest and no fee. Awesome stuff. Very good stuff. All right. Well, the show, I'm glad that we were able to do this. I did just want to remind the listeners and yourself, though, too, with the stuff that you've got coming up in the future, like the financial boot camp, which is going to be a 6-week program.
Correct.
The next program will start in October. Please feel free to send us the page that you got to that, the link or whatever graphic you got, and we'll be sure to share that. But the Women's Business Development Center is a great resource for you guys. Norman Peterson and many other people will remember that we had Donna Beasley from the Illinois Apex Accelerator on a couple weeks ago. So there we are going to be doing a lot more of these interviews with the Women's Business Development Center. You should definitely take part in the programs or activities that the WBDC has to offer. The keynote being that they are free.
Correct.
Absolutely.
And even within our Access to Capital department, we host a monthly webinar. It's called a Let's Chat.
Mm-hmm.
So we marry financial topics with other business topics. This month is all about raising your brand awareness through YouTube specifically and on the topic of social capital. So that'll actually be next Thursday on Zoom. So I can send some info on that as well to sign up.
Awesome. Great stuff. Great stuff. All right. Well, this has been a Norma Peterson says a great interview, so informative. Absolutely, Norma. Norma, I hope that this information can be of benefit to you and document the abuse. The show ends on a positive note. What is your message today for the people of Aurora or any other listeners in the state?
Absolutely. No, I love when this show ends on that positive note, positive sort of send off, if you will. So, I mean, with KIVA, it's all about that community-based lending component. It's truly what it is at its core. And, you know, I love the quote that I use within some of my workshops is, you know, giving back to the world. As long as you're giving back to the world, which you all are as entrepreneurs and businesses, you give so much back to the world and to the community and clients that you serve. The world wants to then, in return, want to give so much back to you. So that's sort of the essence of community in terms of the KIVA lenders and how they're really impact-driven and want to help you get to that fully funded point. So that's kind of that last sort of tidbit. I know that there can be some sort of, you know, a little bit of hesitation when it comes to crowdfunding, but know that, you know, they're there to support you and they're there to help you get to that fully funded point. And it takes your preparation and your work to get, you know, planned and prepared and organized and putting together the high quality profile with the assistance and support from me. But just know that, like I said, the amazing, you know, impact and social impact that you provide and, you know, drive that you have for your community to keep it flourishing and nourishing as businesses and what you do for the economy is so important. So the world wants to give that much more back to you.
Awesome. Great stuff. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we hope that you were able to get great information out of this episode today. Once again, KIVA. www.kiva.org is the place for you to go to. The link is in the chat. We look forward to seeing you guys next week and get ready for the next interview that we will have with WBDC team. Tracy Duran says, great interview. I hope everyone has a fantastic weekend. Daniel Calderon, we appreciate that, big dog. We appreciate that. Hope that you guys have a blessed, a positive, and a really uplifting weekend. Just to note, August 21st through the 25th, Good Morning Aurora and Buenos Dias Aurora will be on hiatus. We are going to a community forum and a workshop, looking for great ways to strengthen our local communities and build relationships with our neighbors in a holistic fashion, addressing affordable housing in the area. Other than that, ladies and gentlemen, be blessed. Take advantage of this information. Once again, the information from the Women's Business Development Center is free and for you to use. Take care of yourself and each other.